Chapter 5 of Murder Makes Me Mad by Ferguson Findley. This LibriVox recording's in the public domain. Chapter 5. Me and my big mouth. I didn't have any idea what to do next. I sent 36 roses to Debbie, and when I got home I called her up. When she heard my voice there was a bang and the line went dead. I gathered she didn't want to talk to me. Eddie Zimmer was absolutely right. All I had was a scrap of conversation that might mean anything and probably meant nothing. But Eddie hadn't seen Caesar Wirtz beating himself over the head in despair. I decided I better go back and talk to Wirtz, preferably outside his office. I wasn't quite up to facing Debbie. There was a Caesar Wirtz listed in the telephone book, but he didn't answer. I called the Importers Club, but he wasn't there, and that exhausted my ingenuity. There wasn't anything left for me to do except wait for Monday morning. So I sat in the apartment feeling sorry for myself until it was time to go to bed. Bed was kind of a lonely place, too. The next morning I was in the restaurant across from Wirtz and Company at 8 o'clock drinking coffee and munching some sad donuts and watching The Office and Street for Caesar. Debbie came walking down the street at 8:45. At 9 sharp, a taxi pulled up to the door and Mr. Wirtz jumped out and ran up the stairs. The taxi pulled away. Nuts, I said. I missed him. Then I remembered that the last time I wanted to see him, he had left his office and come into the restaurant to escape me. Maybe it would happen again. I called and Debbie answered. "I'm coming up to see Mr. Wirtz," I said quickly. "This is Rex Howard. I'll be there in 15 minutes. That was all. In 5 minutes, she came walking across the street and into the restaurant. "Just like I thought," she said. "Sitting right here waiting to catch Mr. Wirtz, you sneak." "Look, Debbie," I said, catching her hand. "Let me explain. I've got to talk to Mr. Wirtz. He's got to tell me—" "Don't try to explain to me in here," she said, pulling her hand away. "Come on outside." She turned on her heel and walked quickly out the door. I handed the waiter $1 and followed her. She was hurrying down the street. "Debbie," I said. "Debbie, wait a minute." I ran and caught up to her. "Hold fast. I don't want Mr. Wirtz to get away." "I won't talk to you where you can see us from the window," she said, "and I think you'll want to hear what I have to say. Make up your mind, me or Wirtz." "You, Debbie," I said. "Always you. Darling, you don't know how badly I feel about what I did. I didn't mean—" "That's all over now, Rex. Thanks for bringing my car back, though. I just thought you'd like to know that I asked Mr. Wirtz who Coggy was." "What did he say?" "He turned white, and I thought he was going to faint. Then he said, 'Where did you ever hear that name?' I told him somebody had asked me if he knew anybody by that name, that was all. Then he came running out to my desk and looked in the wastebasket and started yelling that it was gone. 'Somebody took it,' he shouted. 'My God, they'll kill me for this.'" "Do you know what he was talking about, Rex?" "Yes," I said. "He threw a note into the wastebasket. I took it out." "I thought so. He thinks I took it. You've sure made me look good. I just wanted you to know." Her tone chilled me. "Thanks," I said. "Now, if you don't mind, I think I'll go back and talk to Mr. Wirtz. I'll tell him I took his note, if that'll do you any good." "You won't find him there," she said. "He's gone. He was just inside the door waiting for me to get you out of sight. He's off on a business trip, he told me, and doesn't know when he'll come back." "I'll come back to the office anyhow, if you don't mind, Debbie. I want to tell you how—" "I told you it was all over, Rex. Please don't come back to the office with me. I don't think I could take it." She walked rapidly away. I felt like hell. A couple of buildings down the avenue, there was a cigar store with a telephone sign on the front. I went in and called Eddie Zimmer. "I thought I'd find you in," I said. "Don't you ever get out and work?" Without giving him time to answer, I went on. "You might be interested to know that when Caesar Wirtz's secretary asked him who Coggy was, he practically fainted. Then he went and looked in the wastebasket for the scraps of the note I gave you, and when he found they were gone, he started yelling that somebody'd kill him for it. Right after that, he dashed out of the office saying he was going on a business trip and didn't know when he'd be back." I paused for a breath. "Interesting," Eddie said. "Maybe we'd better keep an eye on Mr. Wirtz. Did he say where he was going?" "He didn't talk to me. Debbie, his secretary, told me all this." "I wondered where you were getting your dope from. Go ask her if she has any idea where he went." "Ask her yourself," I said. "She isn't feeling very kindly toward me." "She must have lots of company all over the world," he said. "I wish I had a nickel for all the dames you've loved and left." "Go to hell," I said, and hung up. Zimmer was beginning to make me a little sore. All I wanted was a little sympathy, and all I was getting was a lot of guff. I tried to call Wirtz at his home, but nobody answered. Then I walked down the street in the direction Wirtz must have taken if he had left his office on foot, until I came to a parking lot. "Mr. Caesar Wirtz keep his car here?" I asked the attendant. He was an old guy with a weather-beaten face. He peered at me questioningly. "Ain't you the 1st Division Master-at-Arms on the old Black Hawk before the war? My name's Pete Brubaker. I went out as a shipfitter first. I remember you." "Pete!" I grabbed him by the hand. "Sure I remember you. You made me a Monal metal cigarette box. I still have it down at the apartment. What the hell are you doing here?" "You still got that old box. I run this here parking lot. A guy like me with a wife can't live on the pension they give her first class. Not these days. But we make out all right. What are you doing? Your name's Rex Howard, ain't it? What are you doing?" "Living here in New York, working with factories on security stuff and things like that. Did you say Mr. Wirtz keeps his car here?" "Yeah, he just left. Terrible hurry, too. I don't know where he's in such a sweat about. Why don't you come around and have chow with the old lady and me, Howard? We don't see much of the old gang anymore. There ain't many Black Hawk sailors left around these parts, you know that?" I could have stayed and talked to him for 3 days, but I didn't. Brubaker didn't expect me to either. That's the way it goes. You sail in and see some old shipmate, and then you sail away again. I was in a hurry to cast off my lines and get traveling, even though nobody had given me a course yet. So first I had some lunch, and then I headed for home. What with one thing and another, including cleaning up the place and sending my shirts and the towels and linen out to the laundry, it was about 5 o'clock before I got a chance to settle down. I had just lit a cigarette and was reading the evening paper when the telephone rang. It was Debbie. "Hello," I said, happier than I thought I would ever be to hear a voice. "I've been sitting here and wondering if it would do me any good to call you." "Rex," she interrupted, "didn't you call me about 20 minutes ago?" "No," I said. "I didn't. Why?" "Somebody called," she sounded worried, "and said he was Rex Howard and was coming right up to see me. I said I didn't want to see you, and he said it was terribly important, and he wouldn't stay. Then I got to thinking about it, and it didn't sound exactly like you. Didn't you call, really?" "No," I said again. "I didn't call. But I'd like nothing better in all the world than to come up and tell you how sorry—" "Rex," she whispered, "somebody's putting a key in my door lock. Rex, I'm scared." "Hang up and call the cops," I said. "I'll be right up." I grabbed my revolver and dropped it in my jacket pocket and hit the outside hallway on a run. There was a taxi on the street below, and he wasted no time getting me up to Debbie's apartment building. I rang her apartment and waited, but there was no answering buzz to open the door. I pushed half a dozen other buttons, and finally somebody pushed the door latch buzzer for me, and I went in and ran up to the 3rd deck. I knocked on Debbie's door. There was no answer. I knocked again. I took the knob in my hand and turned it, and the door was locked. There was nothing left to do, so I bumped 190 pounds of tough old bosun's mate against the door until it came open. It only took one bump. This was the first time I had ever been in Debbie's apartment. It would probably be the last. Somebody had strangled Debbie, and she was dead. All I had to do was look at her, with the foam at her nostrils and mouth and the blank stare in her eyes, to know there was nothing I could do. The telephone was on its stand. I dropped a handkerchief over it to preserve any fingerprints that might be there, and dialed the 17th Detective Squad. Much to my surprise, Eddie Zimmer answered. I was beginning to get the idea that maybe he worked 24 hours a day, even if he never left his desk. "Eddie," I said, "this is Rex. Somebody's murdered Debbie." "Who is Debbie?" he asked, not unreasonably. "Debbie Ames, Wirtz's secretary." "How do you know?" "I just came into her apartment and found her dead on the deck. She's been strangled." "You sure she's dead?" "I know goddamn well she's dead." "Where are you?" I gave him the address and the apartment number, and he said, "Stay right where you are and don't touch a damn thing. That's not in my area, but I'll let the right guys know, and I'll be there with them. See you in about 6 or 7 minutes." I smoked cigarettes in the hall outside the apartment until the police came. I couldn't stand being inside alone with Debbie dead. I'd have been talking to her if I'd stayed in there. The cops came off the elevator with Eddie Zimmer in front. He looked at me, and I nodded toward the door. "It was locked when I got here, and I had to put my shoulder to it to get in," I told him. "Remind me to ask you why you felt you had to break in," Zimmer said. "Although I know you have some logical-sounding reason or other." He and the 3 cops with him went in the door ahead of me. "It looks like he was right, Eddie," one of the cops said. "She sure as hell is dead, and it looks to me like she was strangled." "When's the ambulance getting here?" Another cop wondered. Them damn guys is always late. Nothing they can do, Zimmer said, except take her away after homicide guys get finished taking their pretty little pictures. Gee, she was a good-looking dame, wasn't she? How'd you get to know her, Chief? I went up to Wirtz's office to see if he could tell me anything about the poison whiskey my sister got, I explained. She was working there as a secretary. I had a date with her the night those two guys, Smiley and Piggy, beat me half to death. I suppose you caught them by now? Don't change the subject, Zimmer said. He was pretty smart at that. What were you doing here tonight? You didn't by chance just happen to strangle her, did you? Don't get me mad, Eddie. I told you once that murder makes me mad, especially when girls get murdered. I liked this girl. She liked me. We spent Saturday and Sunday at my apartment, which you would probably find out anyhow if I didn't tell you. We had a little argument on Sunday, and she got mad and went home. She called me about an hour ago and said somebody had called her and said he was me. Whoever it was, he was coming over. She said it didn't sound like me, and... Wait a minute, Rex, Eddie said. Slow down. I'm trying to write this down. She said it didn't sound exactly like me and wanted to know if I had called. I told her no, and then she said somebody was turning a key in her door lock. I told her to call the cops and hurried up here as fast as I could. That's the way I found her. Yeah, one of the other cops says. But how do we know you didn't kill her? You had an argument. You said... I stood up and lit a cigarette to keep my hands from shaking. I was so mad. God damn it, Eddie, you better tell these recruits to pipe down or I'm going to have a little happy hour with them, back on the fantail. Sit down, Chief, he said. Nobody's going to do anything except find out who killed this girl. Why do you think anyone would kill her anyhow? You got any ideas besides wanting to poke somebody in the jaw? She was in on that coggy business with her boss, I said. He sure tore out of town in a hurry. Maybe she didn't get the word to leave. Maybe they got her before she had time to get out. What do you mean, they? You got me, I said. Whoever's behind all this killing and beating and putting poison in bottles of booze. You guys ought to know. You're supposed to be working on the case. You've got 2 murders to solve now, haven't you? If you hadn't been sitting on your fat behinds all week, you might have saved this one. Maybe this kid would still be alive. Maybe... Stow it! Zimmer snapped, his skinny frame tightening up like a spring and his gray eyes going black. Just knock it off, Howard. Maybe if you'd kept your nose out of the cops' business, this kid here would still be alive. Try thinking about it that way for a while, will you? I'm sorry, I said, me and my big mouth. Who's this coggy he's talking about, Eddie? One of the other cops asked. Is that the guy who's... You wouldn't know who he was, Zimmer cut him off. Who's that getting out of the elevator? It was the men from homicide and the medics. They took over in their usual professional way, and in a short time I saw Debbie Ames for the last time, just before they pulled the blanket over her and took her away. We gotta go over and talk to the assistant DA about this, Rex, Eddie Zimmer said as we were leaving the apartment. You come with me. You may not know it, but you're going to find yourself under suspicion in this one. Don't get itchy. Why? I asked. Why would anybody think I killed her? I could probably think of a dozen different reasons, he said. But I won't try. Look at it from my point of view for a minute. You've been playing around with the girl. You had a fight. You came to her apartment and broke down the door. This kind of thing is always happening around New York. Usually it's the guy who's in the spot you're in who killed her. Wait until you read all about it in the papers tomorrow. You really think I'm in a jam? I know you are. Want my advice, Chief? Call up a good lawyer if you know one. Tell him to come up to the 19th precinct. Where can I make a call from? He pulled his car over to the curb. This drugstore's as good a place as any. Don't feel insulted if I go in with you, just so you don't walk out the back door. He was giving me a real break. All of a sudden, I found that I kind of liked Eddie Zimmer. I put in a call to Charlie Maddox, who had been the legal officer at Treasure Island when I was out there about 5 years before. He was practicing in New York now and had helped me get my detective's license and my gun permit, and had helped me set up in business. He was home. Charlie, I said, I'm in a jam. I'm with a cop now, on my way to the 19th precinct. Can you come up and give me a hand? What's the trouble, Rex? Can it wait until morning? It's murder, I said. I'll be there, Chief. Did you say the 19th precinct? That's right. I lit a cigarette and walked out with Eddie. Maddox got to the station house about 5 minutes after I arrived. The questioning was going hot and heavy by that time, and he really had to get in and pitch all the legal fastballs and curves in the book to keep them from throwing me in the pokey right then and there. Finally, after a lot of jawing and telephoning and dashing around town in a taxi, he turned up with a writ from some judge that put me in my lawyer's custody for an appearance the next morning. We rode down to my apartment together, and he came up for a drink. "You got yourself in a real spot this time, haven't you?" he asked, as he settled back with a glass of bourbon in his hand. "I'd be in a worse one if it wasn't for you, I guess. I sure owe you a big one for this." I took the gun out of my pocket and tossed it in the desk drawer. "Where in the hell did you get that?" he asked. "Had it in my pocket all along. You mean those cops never even searched you?" They must have forgotten it." I smiled. "You must have an honest look in your big red face, or else a guardian angel is riding on your shoulders." He said, "You didn't kill Deborah Ames, did you? I forgot to ask." "No, I didn't. I fell pretty hard for that girl, Charlie. She was something pretty special. I might even have wanted to marry her if she'd have had me. But I didn't kill her. I didn't kill her," I repeated. "But I'll goddamn well kill the guy who did if I ever get my hands on him." "Good thing you have a lawyer, that's all I have to say." He stood up and reached for his hat. "Be down at my office at 9:15 tomorrow, Rex, and we'll take it from there and see what happens." "Good night, Charlie." I walked to the door with him. "Thanks a hell of a lot." "Keep an anchor ready for letting go," he advised. "We may find ourselves in pretty tricky water before we get moored to the dock." He had been gone for about an hour, and it was nearly 1 o'clock and time for me to go to bed, when somebody rang my doorbell. "Who's there?" I called. "Who is it?" The bell rang again and again. I took the revolver out of the drawer and stepped quietly over to one side of the door. "Who is it?" There was a muffled answer. I made sure the chain was on, and then I yanked the door open as far as the chain would let it go, and flattened myself against the wall, the gun ready in my hand. "Come off it, Chief," a familiar voice said. "This is Eddie Zimmer." "Let me see your face, Eddie. I'm a little jumpy tonight." It was Eddie, all right. I put the gun in my pocket. "Hell," I said. "Don't you ever sleep? What do you want now?" "They got a body they think is your brother-in-law in a vacant lot up in the Bronx," he said. "Do you want to ride up with me and take a look at him?" "My brother-in-law?" "Joseph Gillian. Somebody shot him through the head, the Bronx cops tell me. He had a wedding license in his pocket that says he married Janice Howard in Hot Springs about 3 weeks ago. You want to come with me?" "Sure," I said. "This is the first brother-in-law I ever had. Why was he shot? Do they know?" "They don't think it was suicide." We walked out of the apartment together and went down and got in his car. As we hurried north, I asked him a question that had been bothering me. "Why are you so closed-mouthed about this coggy business, Eddie? What's there, anyhow?" "Nothing that I know of, Rex." "Don't give me that 7th pay grade stuff. I heard you shut that young cop up when he started to say something tonight. You aren't fooling me." "All right," he said. "I'll tell you. Somewhere on the New York waterfront, there's an operator they call Coggy. That's all I know about him. He's a thief on a big scale." "What kind of thief?" "Liquor thief, mostly. Steals liquor coming in on ships from abroad. Steals it right off the docks, or else hijacks it after they're unloaded. Sells it through dishonest wholesalers. The racket's worth about $1 million a year, and Coggy runs it, or so I hear." "Sells it to Wirtz and Company, maybe?" "Maybe." "Who put the poison in Tooley's Irish?" "I wish to hell I knew." "Coggy?" I asked. "Maybe," he said. "Where is the son of a bitch?" "If I knew, I'd go and get him, Rex. Right now I'm still hunting. Most of the liquor thefts happen over on the North River, around Pier 90. "I'll go over and find him for you." "You keep the hell out of it." We could see a red light blinking ahead. "This must be where they found your brother-in-law," Eddie said. He pulled up and stopped the car. "Where's the body?" he asked the cop who was keeping the small crowd back. He flashed his badge. "Zimmer, 17th Squad." "Right back there," the cop said. We walked back. There was a body lying on a stretcher. "This may be your brother-in-law, Chief," Eddie said. "What does he look like to you?" "He looks like Caesar Wirtz to me," I said. End of chapter 5.